The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Welcome in, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I am Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And welcome to anybody that's joining us, all listeners, new, old, whatever.
Yes.
We really appreciate your time.
Yes, we do.
And we are here with episode number 13.
Lucky number 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it is, I think. 13 is one of my favorite numbers.
What is our topic?
This episode is Ouija and Tarot and Curses. Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Oh, my.
Nice. And kind of ironic, 13.
Yes, I did that on purpose. I was thinking.
Unagi.
Because it all fits together. It's all about, what is the word I'm looking for? Superstitions, there you go.
Yeah.
It's all about superstitions and about rumor and myths. And so I'm hoping that today we can bust some myths.
Cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
The Mythbuster Joneses. How's that sound?
We already got a title. Too many titles.
Yeah. Anyways.
Well, before we jump in it, do you have anything that you want to share from last week?
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of things. About last episode was suicide, which was a tough but interesting episode.
Right.
And one of the responses that I did have was actually from a girl that I went to school with in junior high and high school. And she's very religious. And, in her religion, they had taught her that when you commit suicide, you go to hell. And then she had a friend that committed suicide. And she started hearing him.
Wow.
Yeah. So she was telling me all about it and how it's kind of changed her perception on things. And the more that we talked, it was really good to talk to her and interesting because she has more gifts than I think she even realized.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. Last week's episode, it opened that up for a lot of people. I had a lot of messages and a lot of personal stories, and I read them all and loved them all. So
I've seen people in life that have totally kind of believed that, kind of more from a religious standpoint, that if you commit suicide, you go to hell.
Right.
Until it happened to somebody that they knew that they were close to.
Right.
And then they start changing.
Yeah.
As if they're the ones that they're going to make the decision.
Right.
And that's why I don't believe that.
Yeah, I don't at all. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. So thanks everybody for your feedback on that episode.
Cool. Yeah, it was. It was cool. It was a tough one. I really appreciate Marina coming on and sharing what she did.
Yes.
We had a glitch and lost some of it. But
we did. That was a bummer.
But it's okay.
It happens, yeah.
It was still really cool, and what she said, I think, was really good.
Yeah, that's a good episode. And then I wanted to talk about the earthquake a little bit.
Let's do that.
Because last week, let's see, what day was it? It was 4th of July, and then the day after, we had 2 earthquakes in Ridgecrest, California. And the first one was, a 6.4 or 6.6, something like that. Right. And the second one was bigger. It was a 7.1. So the reason I wanted to talk about this was because I did have quite a few people that messaged me afterwards and were like, did you know that this was coming?
Right.
And so I wanted to explain a little bit about how I feel when an earthquake is coming, because this is something that has been happening since I was a teenager, since the Northridge quake, that not the Northridge quake itself, but afterwards, the aftershocks, I started to be able to predict them. And it got very scary for me. I didn't know why that was happening, and then my anxiety got ahead of me, and I would always think that one was coming when I would get anxious. So I left California. That was one of the reasons actually that I left, was to get away from the earthquakes. And then ironically, we didn't have any while I was gone.
Yeah.
This was the first big quake I think that
we
missed
had. You while you were gone.
Exactly. Oh, you're back. Oh,
Here.
good. So the thing
you
is,
feel drunk and like you're on the ocean for a minute.
Yeah. If you've never been in one, there's a couple of different ways they feel, but one is like if you're close to it, it shakes, it's violent.
Yeah.
And then the farther you are away from it, it feels more like rolling, like you're on the ocean. But so anyways, going back to that, so that was my first earthquake since I've been back here. And the day of the first one, I was a little bit anxious. It wasn't too bad. And then I realized afterwards what it was. But the day of the big one, the 7.1, I was a mess. I was a complete mess.
Yeah,
like
you were.
Yeah, and couldn't explain why. And you're like, are you overheated? Yeah, I'm overheated. I don't. But so I, making a long story short, I took a shower thinking that maybe that would help. And while I was in the shower, I realized what it was, and I realized that it was a bigger quake coming, and it did. And now it has opened that up again for me, and it's something that I'm have to deal with now every day again. Of, is this my own anxiety, or is this an aftershock coming? Because where we are, we felt it, but it wasn't like we didn't do any damage, and
no.
So I should relax, but it's like it's opened up that whole feeling again. But I did have people ask, if you knew it was coming, why didn't you say anything? Right. And what am I supposed to do? Because what good does it do? And what if I'm wrong? Then I have everybody on edge.
Right. Yeah, and that I understand too, and that you don't want to put people on edge if you don't have to.
No.
Especially even for one like that.
Yeah.
I know that jogs a lot of people's nerves.
Mm-hmm.
But that wasn't significant enough, I think, to really
not here, but yeah.
Yeah, not here, but for any of us close friends around here kind of thing. But I don't think it's totally ridiculous. I mean, other animals react a lot of times prior to an earthquake as well. We're animals. So it's kind of like,
I reacted more than them, more than our dogs.
We're animals, so we sense it.
Yeah.
Others sense it more than others.
Right.
But it was funny because the second one, when I was in the studio and I was doing something to this, I have like these cubicle walls that kind of are up against the wall and helps with the soundproofing. Well, I had some things on top of it, just like decorative, not anything heavy, but I had hung this rack to put some cables on, and I was sitting there thinking to myself, yeah, I better double check that wall because I don't have it really drilled in. There's stuff in front of it where it can't really fall forward. It can lean forward. And as I'm thinking this and I'm looking at the wall, kind of testing it and seeing if it's swaying or not too much, if I tap on it, all of a sudden I feel like drunk and like I'm on the ocean for a second. I'm like, whoa, this experiment is not going at all like I was.
This is too real.
And then I hear you and Marina like react, so I realize, and I can see like the traffic light, the lights in here swinging.
Everything's moving, yeah.
So
that's funny.
Interesting that I was thinking about it right before it happened.
I had thought about it a couple of days before the first one. We had a couple of things laying around that I thought, if we have an earthquake, those are goners. And then a couple days later, it happens, and now those things are moved.
Yeah, I know you're like one of those tack down. What is that stuff?
Oh, the quake wax.
Yeah,
I love quake wax. Everything's like waxed to the wall. It's like not gonna move.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it was quite the experience. And you know what was another thing is that I kept hearing a couple of songs that I couldn't really place why I kept hearing them. And one of them was Staying Alive. And it was being shoved down my throat every day. Right. And I even pointed that out to you one day in the car. And we talked about it a little bit, about the lyrics and how they're not like as upbeat as they may sound. Right. So after the earthquake,
I pointed that out to you.
Yeah.
Weeks before. I was like, you ever really listen to the words to the song? I said, it's kind of more like despair.
Yeah.
But it sounds fun because the music's great.
Right. Exactly. So then after the earthquake, I was like, I was cleaning the house one day and I'm like, okay, I need to pull these songs apart because I haven't done that yet. Right. And I start listening to Staying Alive, and it hits me because it talks about the earth shaking and quaking and everybody staying alive. Nobody died in this earthquake. Right. It was like, whoa, they were trying to tell me that it was coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I was hearing it a lot, then I would get in your car and you said you were hearing it a lot.
Yeah.
So
I have heard it since, but only like once a day and not like 12 times a day. So
Right.
you can't
yeah, we don't
block
need it
them all
12
out.
times. Thanks.
No, seriously, that's really shoving it. It does happen. So yeah, so that was our earthquake experience.
Yeah, welcome to California or back to
Yeah.
California.
Exactly.
I never left yet.
Yeah.
One day.
One
But
day.
you know what? It can happen anywhere.
Every place has their things, and
It can happen anywhere.
yeah, it really can. Yeah.
So I think I would ultimately take this, unfortunately, over tornadoes and
Yeah.
hurricanes.
The buildup of those ones. It's like with this, honestly, the first one, by the time that I realized what was going on, it was over.
Right.
Not the second one. That one I sat on the bed with Zuma for a little while and was like, is this ever going to stop? That one went on forever, but it wasn't. It was just like you're moving a little bit and things are like, I don't even know how to explain it, gliding. And they're moving, in all different directions, but it's not violent. It's like being on the ocean. So
it's as alive as we are.
Right.
And so scary as it feels, your odds of dying in them, at least in the U.S., are
very low.
very low
Yeah.
because our construction standards are very high.
Right.
So, obviously accidents happen and people do die, but really the odds for an earthquake are very low. And you're actually, when you think about it, you're being a part of and feeling the earth change
Yeah.
because these continents were not always this shape
No,
and
not
this
at all.
size.
And they
We
still
started
won't
out
be.
as one continent
Yeah.
that throughout our world's history has changed into this, and it's going to continue to change just
Yeah.
like you and I
Yep.
are changing.
Well, what's cool about earthquakes, I don't know if it's all earthquakes, but this one was a new fault line. And they said on the news that fault line could spread up to 30 miles. And I did hear last night it spread 28 miles. So there is this new crack in the earth that's huge.
Nice.
And people are actually going there from all over the country, possibly all over the world, to take pictures with this new
thank you.
crack in the ground. And it's like, whoa. I mean, we live here and we're like,
Yeah.
I hate to say you get used to it, but there's small ones all the time. And I don't know. I fear the fires more, I guess.
Yeah, those aren't pretty.
No. And the mudslides. We don't have mudslides where we are here, though.
No,
there's no
that
mountains,
doesn't
but-
happen often because of our rain situation. But, you
Right.
know,
The last couple of years it has. But
Yeah.
yeah, we have a lot of stuff here. But I do say that I the buildup of like the hurricanes and tornadoes, I don't want that.
no,
No,
not
want it.
interest.
Yeah.
Okay, well, cool. That was neat
Yeah.
to kind of dive into that for a
I
minute.
thought so.
Shall we get into
Let's do
episode
it.
13?
Episode 13, Ouija and Tarot and Curses. Oh my.
Oh, my.
Oh my. So, as I always do, I did polls this week. And the first one that I asked people was about Ouija boards. So, we're going to start on the topic of Ouija boards.
Cool.
I asked how many people believe that playing with a Ouija board will result in negative consequences. And 47% of people that took this believe that. So
Wow.
I felt like this was something that we kind of needed to break the myth on it and talk a little bit about how the Ouija board was invented and where it got its hype from.
Right.
Because I don't think people realize that there is a spirit connection. And let me explain to you first how a Ouija board works.
Please.
Okay. So I think everybody probably knows that it's a board with letters on it. It has all the letters of the alphabet and numbers, and one corner says yes and one says no, and there's a goodbye for when you're done. And you're supposed to, it was a board game.
Right.
It was invented as a board game.
Yeah.
And there's something, what is that? I always forget the name of that thing. The little,
I'd
I
call it
always
the
forget
viewer.
The viewer thing, but I'll remember. It'll come to me later.
Right.
So you move that, right? Or the spirits move that to whatever they're trying to spell, whatever they're trying to say, right? So it was used.
But they're not just, explain this in case nobody's never heard of this.
Okay.
They're not just moving it by itself. You touch, you
Yes.
and one other person.
Or, you can have more, I believe.
I think you can have
just
more
two.
too.
Yeah.
They say you should have two or more.
Yeah.
But you lightly put your hand on this. Is it not an oracle? No. I don't remember what the thing's called. Anyways, you put your hand on this viewer thing, and it's basically a thing on little stilts that's an inch high, and it's got a little glass viewfinder that's maybe an inch or 2 inches wide. a circle. And so you goes to every letter, so you're very clear on what they're spelling out.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So it was used originally. It was invented for. So let's explain a little bit. When they couldn't communicate through things like Ouija boards, they had other inventive ways that they used to talk to spirits with like people that couldn't communicate like myself, like a medium.
Right.
So I'm not completely familiar with how it works, but one of the first ways that they did it was that they would like say A, B, C, and wait for some kind of signal from the spirit that was the letter they were supposed to stop on. Okay. So that was one of the ways that they used to communicate with spirits back in the day.
Prior to the Ouija board.
Prior to the Ouija board. And the other way is automatic writing. And I use automatic writing sometimes to communicate with my mom or with other spirits, where I just sit down and I just write. Whatever comes, that's what I do, which seems like a much easier way than a Ouija board anyways. So then let's see, the inventor of the Ouija board.
Can I ask you real quick about the automatic writing? Is it specific things?
No. Just whatever. I mean, I have...
Are you doing something else connecting while you're just writing down whatever? Is it the same thing as like when you channel your mom and you color in your book, you're just kind of checking out?
Yeah,
so you're not really
much.
Writing anything in particular.
Right.
Okay.
I'm just kind of going with whatever is said to me.
Okay.
I haven't done it much lately, but I did at the beginning. It was an easy way for me to kind of communicate.
Right.
So the Ouija board was invented in 1890 by Elijah Bond, and it became a really fast sensation. Okay. Yeah. Because you have to remember that back in those days, the average lifespan was 40 to 50 years. So they dealt with death constantly. Yeah. It was like, twice as much, 3 times as much as what we deal with, really. So for them, it wasn't unnatural. That was the time that spiritualism was getting its big, go. And, people were really into it and all that. And one of the things I read actually was that said people would hold a seance on Saturday and go to church on Sunday. It was just a natural part of life. It was just, and then it was released as a kid's toy. It was actually William Ford classified it as a children's toy in 1921.
Right.
So it was literally classified as that. So one of the interesting stories that I read while doing this research was about a lady named Pearl Lenore Curran. And she was a housewife that didn't have much education, and her and her friend used a Ouija board, and they contacted a spirit by the name of Patience Worth. And this spirit wrote books, novels, and poems through this woman with little education. Everything came through that Ouija board. And this woman published those novels and poems and was famous.
Wow.
Right?
That is cool. I never heard that story.
Isn't that an amazing story?
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, back to the toy thing. I mean, Milton Bradley's made millions off
Hasbro.
The Ouija.
The one I have is Hasbro. No? Oh, I think there's a lot of competitors, but they all have.
Yeah. So, and wasn't one of the things you shared on Facebook? It was on the front cover of Saturday Evening Post.
Yeah, that was
Norman Rockwell.
Norman Rockwell.
It was and he painted kind of things that were of the time.
Yeah. It was very much of that time. It wasn't something that bothered them at all. It was, something they talked about and a kid's toy. Something that they did at, parties.
Okay.
Stuff. So let's talk about why that changed.
What changed?
What changed it?
Dun, dun, dun.
We've talked about it, but before I told you, what did you think? Any ideas of what actually started this?
What I would have guessed?
Yeah.
I don't really particularly, until you mentioned that, I didn't remember it within that. So I wasn't sure.
All right. So let me tell you. In 1973, The Exorcist was released.
Yep.
And in The Exorcist, the young girl, Reagan, was possessed by a demon after playing with the Ouija board. That's it. That's how it started. That's why it has a bad name.
Right.
That's it.
That movie affected a lot of people.
It did. It affected me greatly.
And when a movie title says based on a true story,
not
everything within that story
Right.
is true. You're still watching a Hollywood movie.
Right. And demon possession, we're going to have to do like a whole episode on that because there's, not even time to get into it here. But
please.
You have to remember that there's psychological issues that we're talking about here. Okay. So this story may have been based on a true story, but she wasn't possessed by the devil.
No.
Okay. And she didn't become possessed by the devil by playing with a Ouija board.
No.
So basically, overnight, the Ouija became a tool of the devil. And it started popping up in scary movies, and religious groups denounced it as a satanic ritual, and the rest is history.
It's funny. I wonder if that made some sort of reference or appearance in the Amityville horror movie, because I know
don't remember.
That one's totally been debunked. There was a murder that happened in the home.
Mm-hmm.
Son, I think, killed his mom.
Remember,
I believe, but it was the family that moved in after them that made the whole thing up.
Yep.
And they sold the story to a book, and then Hollywood came knocking on their door and said, "We'd like to make a movie," and it's all a bunch of baloney.
And I know that there's going to be people that are going to say that we're wrong. And you know what?
That's
you
okay.
can believe what you want to believe. This is what we believe. And I'll tell you that this last week, I have done things that would probably make people very nervous.
Right.
But I had to experiment for our listeners.
Absolutely.
So I actually took a video that I'll be posting on our YouTube, but I did all of the things that they tell you not to do with a Ouija board. I played it by myself.
Yep.
I sweared at it. Yep. I made fun of it. I left the room without saying goodbye to it. I did everything that you're not supposed to do. I left the thing on the thing that you move. I left that on the board. You're not supposed to do that. Everything that I could have done, I did.
Yeah, and nothing's happened.
And you know what? If it did, it wouldn't be related to the Ouija board.
Right.
Because things happen. And I had asked for some stories from our listeners. That was another thing I asked was, if you had been a victim of some kind of Ouija board in, something.
Right.
And really, everybody's stories are a friend of a friend or, my sister's uncle's brother's roommate. It's
Myth.
That's how things spread. You know somebody that knew somebody whose house caught on fire 3 weeks after they played with a Ouija board. That has nothing to do with the Ouija board.
Right.
At all.
No.
And if you don't believe me, then you'll just have to see that I did it all. I took one for the team.
Spirits are here.
Yeah.
They can be contacted with a Ouija board.
Yeah.
I think for you, it's like, why? It's like,
it's a waste
if I were to compare it, it would be like trying to use Morse code as opposed to just texting someone.
Absolutely.
It's much quicker.
Right.
But their spirits are all here. The ones that did good things and the ones that did bad things.
Yeah.
The ones that did bad things are no longer doing bad things.
Right.
You can't. They're not allowed
continue.
to. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't want to.
They don't want to. So, what's happening is there is energy that we all exude, including these spirits that we can't see.
Mm-hmm.
But you and I are exuding energy. There is positive energy and there is negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tap into the negative energy in something, you want to get dark and scary, you can do it.
You can,
because you have the free will.
Yep.
But all you're doing is you're not making up something that doesn't already exist. You're just driving yourself mad.
Right. Absolutely, you are. Yeah.
And I think some of these issues, like you talked about with Exorcist, is that you could be dealing with mental illness.
Yes.
Or what if it's somebody that's heard these voices and these connections their whole life and nobody ever told them it was okay,
right?
Or they didn't understand what was going on and it drove them mad.
Well, and I've talked about it before, how when I don't meditate, sometimes things sound weird, sounds like a record scratching, or I don't get that so much anymore, but I did it first. You have to learn how to meditate to shut your own mind out. And your own mind is honestly your biggest, that fights you the most. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest demon is your own mind, really.
Absolutely.
You can create anything that you want to create in your mind. You can make yourself sick just by thinking that you're sick.
Yeah.
You can heal yourself.
And we all grew up watching Looney Tunes,
Right.
Most of my age.
Yeah.
And always represented in those cartoons was the angel and the devil on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Like Sylvester the cat.
Yeah.
Do I eat Tweety or do I not? Okay, that's all great that we have to squeeze religion in there somehow.
Yeah.
But the truth is that's not the case. You have free will and you have your connection to the other side, to divine, to divinity. I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about when bad people leave here and they go there and they no longer do bad things because they don't want to anymore.
Right.
They want to do good.
Right.
So the only bad in the equation is you,
right.
your free will, your own mind.
Well, and I could see if you're doing like a Ouija board and the spirit maybe tells you how they died and they died from murder. I mean, people will take that as, the spirit died from murder. But I get those. You know what I mean? It's like they're just talking to you. And if you can't communicate like me, it is a great way to do it, I suppose.
Sure.
Like you said, for me, it's much harder. It's very frustrating.
I mean, if we were doing it or I saw somebody and let's say a light bulb popped and went out, I'm not looking at that as a negative sign.
No.
If anything, I'm looking at it as they're there telling you I'm real.
These are ways that they tell us that.
Right.
That I told that story once of a spirit that blew the light bulb out on me. Did it hurt me? No, it didn't shatter the light bulb. It just
right.
Did
it
was
daggers
to get my
go
attention.
Flying across the room?
No.
Okay, if somebody, I knew somebody that one time they played a Ouija board and they got in their car and got in a car accident.
Right.
Okay, stuff happens in the world.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's the result of the Ouija board.
No, we're all making this up, and this is the part about. I think especially people that maybe come from a religious background and you see a lot of these more scarier types of things that humans have created out of their imagination, movies and characters and things like that, that make you think, oh my God, that's all hell related.
Right.
So if you're touching a Ouija board, well, it was in that movie.
Exactly.
And there was priests there doing an exorcism on this girl.
Yeah.
So she must be from hell. It's weird thought process.
It is. When I saw The Exorcist, it freaked me out. Okay. I wasn't really religious. I had been to a couple religious schools, and my boyfriend at the time, his family was very religious. And so seeing this movie during the period that I was dating him, it did hit me in a certain way to where I actually slept with a Bible under my pillow for at least a year.
I'm sure a lot of people
messed me up. Okay. I don't remember the Ouija board. I just remember being absolutely terrified of that movie and it ruining me. Like, I love to go to things like Universal Halloween Horror Nights. And you see, I don't get scared, but they did an Exorcist maze and I was like, get me out of here.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
It was good, but I was terrified.
My mom said to me, did I ever tell you the story about Exorcist? And I was one day and I said, I was real young. No, I don't know. Maybe because I was going to watch it or I asked about it. She goes, oh, my brothers and sisters, when that movie came out, they called me in the room right when Reagan is totally possessed, fully possessed, screaming at Father Marin.
Oh, no.
My mom's name is Marin. So she walks in the room to this Marin. And it was like, she said she was scarred.
Yeah.
I was like, that's messed up.
That is
but
messed
that's pretty funny. Too.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching it with my friend Jennifer. My mom came in the room and she's like, anyone want split pea soup?
No.
Like, it's not funny. Get out. Like, seriously, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. And it's just so much hype. And it did for the longest time. I totally thought that it was real and that I was going to be possessed by a demon. And here I am and I'm okay.
You're fine.
And it's like, I wish that more people understood that these things are, they're just, I don't know, what's the word? Hocus pocus.
It's man-made.
It is.
We've created this,
the hype. We've definitely.
this realm of like dark, evil, hell, demons, and
right.
that's all that's man-made.
It is. a lot of it is looking into most of this stuff, like even into the voodoo dolls and all that. Most of it comes back to some form of movie or entertainment as to why it got its bad name. But of course,
I mean, it goes even further into being interjected into the Bible.
yes,
And my belief is that was interjected to help control,
right.
which on some level, that's done its job. Because
Right.
I think the world would be probably a lot more crazy if you didn't have people that believed that if they did things wrong, they were going to go somewhere bad.
Right, absolutely.
A lot of people buy that.
It keeps a handle on some people.
Yeah.
I just want to be a good person and do good things. I don't need to think I'm going to go to some fiery pit if I don't. I just want to be a good person. Like, why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, moving on to tarot cards.
All right.
So, tarot cards have a very bad reputation.
Was that the only poll, though, question of that one, or no?
There was a couple. I think I confused people because I asked how many people had played with the Ouija board and how many people had something bad happen to them after, and I kind of lumped it together a little bit. So the statistics on it, I don't think were really right.
Oh, okay.
But of the people that have played with Ouija boards, there was only, I think, one that actually said something bad happened when she was there. And it was a friend of hers that passed out. And I can understand, though, how that could happen in a situation like that. And so her and I started talking a little bit about, for me, like sometimes when I do readings or even when I'm just sitting around, if we're talking,
right.
I feel like sometimes almost like a spirit jumps in, like the movie Ghost. That's what I can compare it to, where it's this quick jolt. I don't know if you've ever noticed it happen. I don't know what it is. That's the only thing that I can really compare it to. But if I let it freak me out, I could talk myself into some panic attack for sure and pass out. So there's things that can happen. You can, hype yourself up, and that's kind of what I took.
I guess, I used to think that movie, I liked it, for its, I liked it when it came out for its creative value and, the romantic story about it. But I find myself, I didn't buy it,
Yeah. Well, the way that they presented it was weird.
Like the guys, the shadows coming out of the manholes. But when this started happening for us, every time my mind would go back to that movie, like if I could visually see the loved ones around me and what they're thinking and feeling, that would be pretty close.
Yeah.
In my own imagination, it would be close to what I would picture.
Yeah.
If it could visually see them. Right.
I don't visually see spirits a lot like that.
Right.
Every once in a while.
Right. That would be pretty amazing.
Yeah. Would be. So, anything else on the Ouija board you can think of?
No, I've done it before, and like I told you earlier when we were discussing this, the one time, I haven't done it a lot, but the one time I really remember it was with some friends, and I don't know, we were 19, 20, and some guy came through that one of the guys I was with in the room went to school with, junior high school or high school, and had committed suicide and spelled out his name for us, and the guy totally was blown away. Yeah. So that's a friend of mine that I'm sitting there going, okay, he's not bullshitting me.
Right.
You know what I mean? He was like for real. So I was like, wow.
Yeah.
And I did it. I helped. I could feel it the way it moved.
Yeah. Well, and one of our friends had commented on one of the poll questions and said that he had used one with a friend, I believe it was back in high school, and a song was written through the Ouija board. And the name of the song was Kim. And Kim is now his wife's name. He didn't know her back then. Yeah. So I don't think he connected those two. For me, it was an instant connection that was, a premonition.
For sure. I would have been like...
Right. But I don't think people look at it that way. Like, I don't know how many people would have analyzed staying alive as an earthquake warning. It's hard when you don't, know how the patterns are of the spirits, know, because it can be that simple of something that they're just trying to say. It doesn't matter what the lyrics are. They're just like, here's here's a name, here's a
Right.
this to show you that. But anyways, so
Or feel
that
the people breaking and feel the city shaking or
right,
something. It's like, whoa, it doesn't
exactly.
get any
Most people wouldn't think
more
that. Right.
literal than that.
Right. But
Staying alive.
I told him, I was like, that's a really cool story that you got those song lyrics through a Ouija board. Pretty amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the not irony of the fact that is his wife's name.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Love that story.
I do too.
Cool.
There's a lot of great Ouija board stories. I've heard more good than bad. And if you go to our Facebook page, you can see some of the ones, because there were a lot of people that were like, nope, nothing bad has ever happened. Those are just things that,
Right.
I've heard. So,
All right. Well, next.
so let's move on to tarot cards,
All right.
because tarot cards have a bad name too. And I think that a lot of that is because of the images on like the original types of tarot cards, because there are a lot of different types. Okay. There's like oracle cards, and then you have your standard, they're called Rider-Waite, is one of the most popular tarot cards. Okay. So if you're not familiar with these, I believe it's 77 cards in a deck, and they are cups, pentacles, swords, and wands. And then you have like what's called major arcana, which is cards. Those are the ones that people are most terrified of, like the Tower and the Devil and Death and those types of things. Those are the cards that for the most part give the deck a bad name, because people see those images and they take them as literal.
Right.
Where I can tell you that I use tarot cards as a tool in my readings and in my everyday life. Okay. I have now gotten to the point where it's one of the first things I do every day, because it's helping to teach me how to analyze the tarot cards better.
Right.
When every morning I go, tell me what's going to happen today. And you know what? Some days I don't want to hear what it has to say. And it tells me anyways.
Right.
And I'm like, nope, that's not going to happen. That's a lie. So actually what I did today is I wrote down what I got for today in the tarot cards, which with every single deck that I have, because I don't just have a regular standard Rider-Waite deck. I have a bunch of different ones. I have animal ones, and I have 3 different decks that are they all mean the same things, but they look different ways.
Right. Like the first one you said, Rider-Waite.
Yeah.
That's to what I would picture as a traditional
Tarot deck.
So the images can be a little more scary and dark, but actually, when you really read them, the meanings of each one, and again, they can be upside down and have a different meaning.
They can, yeah.
Opposed to right side up.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask me 10 years ago, to go get a tarot card reading, I may have tried it for like shits and giggles.
Right.
But I probably wouldn't have bought it too much. I can tell you today, for me, these things are like so accurate.
Yeah. Beyond accurate.
Beyond accurate.
Yeah. And it's not like people say, oh, you could apply that to anything. If you heard in the previous episode that I recently bought a car, I was told about that purchase through tarot cards, but I didn't know it was going to be a car. I just knew that there was some big decision that was coming my way, and it was going to be very difficult for me to make, and there were going to be a lot of different things. The tarot cards warned me about this for at least 2 months. And when it happened, I was like, you've got to be kidding me that all of this hype is for a car. But it was, but they warned me, they let me know. And I'm actually going through that right now too, in a different way, more involving my career. And I'm slowly watching what these tarot cards have said to me over the last couple months.
Yeah, because it's not just about, a lot of it most of it's not about monetary.
No, not at all.
Gaining anything monetary. It's been mostly about personal journey. Within, inside.
Spiritual growth.
Yeah. But there has been definitely some readings, cards where it's like, okay, yeah.
Right.
Something good's coming.
And what I've started doing is, like, a lot of readers will spread the cards out in front of them, which is what I did at first when I started reading. But now I shuffle until the cards fly out. And it is so ridiculously accurate.
That part is wild.
It really is. And let me tell you, I get the same cards over and over and over again. So you know that it's accurate when every day you're pulling like similar cards that are showing you that you're going in this direction.
Right.
There was one day I remember recently that I picked 3 cards, and the first one showed conflict with quick quick resolution, which you and I had a little spat. It was small. It was done.
Right.
The next one was an issue with a child, and Marina woke up with an earache. Okay. The third one was family harmony, and we went to IKEA and we had a great time, and then we came home and the earth shook. But, you know, the rest of it was so accurate. I was
and
like,
that applied to my
whoa.
life a little bit professionally off to the side as well.
Those cards?
So, well, the conflict with quick resolution.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was, yeah, they're very, very accurate. So what I did today is I took 3 cards. I took one card from 3 different decks, and they all meant the same thing. And one of them, well, it was the devil, and the standard deck is called the devil. Okay.
Right.
And it looks scary. It's a drawing of a devil. I believe he's sitting on some kind of throne, and he has a naked man and a naked woman on chains. Okay. So it looks really bad, but it's not as bad as what it seems. It's just about your own inner demons and your ego and those types of things. So then I showed 2 other cards that are also the devil, but in different ways. And
these are like theoretical images.
Exactly. One of them was from an animal deck, and it was a Siamese cat. And it was, instead of being called the devil, it was called ego.
Right.
And then the third deck, I can't remember, it was my spirit song animal tarot, and it was a coyote, but even the phrasing of it wasn't bad. It wasn't, like the devil or whatever. It was like insight or something. So I showed people how these 3 cards that mean the exact same thing can look scary just because of an image on a card. Right. Now, I have also said to you a million times that when I see the tarot or the tower card appear, I'm like, snip that thing right back underneath.
Right. We don't want to hear about that.
We don't want, because but it doesn't always mean,
no,
what it looks like, but it's a picture of people jumping out of a tower and the tower's on fire. And so you see this and you're like, ugh.
This can't be good.
Right. And you know what? It's not the greatest card, but you have to be warned about certain things. They're not talking about death. They're not, like the death card doesn't even talk about death. That's new beginnings. That's the end of one cycle, starting a new one.
Not literal.
Right. So these cards that everybody's so afraid of, if you just understood a little bit about the meanings behind them, it wouldn't be so scary. And it's not some kind of way of, summoning the devil again. This is a way that a lot of readers, it's a tool that we use to help us pick up on people's energy better.
Right.
Because it is hard when you have somebody, like when I was doing that expo and I have 15 minutes with this person and I'm supposed to get their energy like that.
Right.
The only way for me to do that is to look at cards and to kind of get a little bit of glimpse into their life that way. Otherwise, it's like, you got to talk to them and pick up on that energy. So it's an easy, quick way to let us know what's going on. And a lot of other things. People, you do not have to be psychic to use these cards. You don't. And there's all different kinds, not just,
I remember when you first started with them around me, and you busted out the traditional deck, and one of the cards has like the upside down pentagram, and I was like, oh, right on. Shout at the devil.
You're like, oh, great. What kind of devil worshiping crap is she bringing in my life
but
now?
When you see them translated in different decks, but it's the same meaning, it's just a softer picture, a different wording, but have the same meaning. You know? I look at things like this as not evil.
No, not at all.
They have energy and power and a way to communicate with us through these tools.
Yes.
And that goes for music, would fall under the same thing. And on some level, they try to ban some music and say, oh, rock and roll is the devil.
Right.
No. This is a gift that was given to man with our minds to create.
Right.
And it is something that is unlike anything else in this world.
Yeah.
As far as expression and art. And again, what other way for another dimension or side or heaven to communicate with us than things like music, numbers, Ouija boards, tarot cards.
Right.
If you're open to it, you're going to hear it, and you're going to be able to introspectively find the truth in what they're saying.
Absolutely.
Whether it's actual events or things that are changing within yourself.
Right. Absolutely. And it really can help you in a different way too. Like we were listening to some Nostradamus stuff earlier, and they were kind of talking about this, about how if you have a little bit of a warning about something, you can still change it.
Right.
Like life is free will. You can change anything at any time.
Right.
So if you have a little bit of a warning, like I have taken it where I've had those cards that have showed that maybe there was some conflict coming or something, and I have done everything that I can to make that not happen, and it hasn't. And so I have to assume that I've changed that. And those cards can help you with that. You know, I was warned about a relationship that I shouldn't get into through tarot cards, through another tarot card reader. And I didn't listen. If I would have listened at that point to what those tarot cards were saying, it probably would have made life easier, even though I did learn a lot from that relationship. But
that's what was important.
Right. But you can still change those things. It doesn't mean that if, you get a certain tarot card and it, shows something that maybe you don't want to see, you can change it.
Yeah.
It's not set in concrete,
Right.
especially like the minor arcana, they call them, the cups and the wands. Those can all be changed. The major arcana are like your major life lessons, but I'm not going to get into a whole tarot explanation. But I did ask our listeners how many of them had a tarot reading before, and 76% said that they had.
Oh.
And then I asked how many of those people felt that their tarot card reading was accurate, and 92% said that it was.
Wow.
And of course it's by the reader, because we can definitely interpret the cards wrong, which is why like I still use like internet stuff in my book when I'm using them with clients. It's just, then I make sure I'm not missing anything.
Yeah, you have it there to
and I've
refer to.
written on my tarot cards too. It helps me.
Reference material.
Yeah, because it has so much. But they are very, very highly accurate. Very. If you've never had a tarot reading, do it just to see. It's not going to tell you when you're going to die or how you're going to die or that something like that's going to happen or bad things are coming. It can really help to set you in the right direction and to see things that clearly in a way that maybe you didn't see them before.
Right.
It's a tool.
It really is.
Yeah. So some of the other things that I wanted to talk about briefly in our last few minutes that we have. Oh, did you know that crystal balls are really a thing? That psychic readers, they can use tarot or crystal balls.
Really?
Yeah. I personally have never tried that. All of these things, like they call it scrying, where you like gaze into something and then the images that you see. It's not just crystal balls. Like there's people use tea leaves or wax, all kinds of things, right?
Nostradamus used to stare into a bowl of water.
That was on the list too. Water, right? For me, I've never tried any of these. I mean, maybe it would be worth a try just to see if I get anything different. But all I really need to do is meditate and close my eyes, and even that, I still have visions during the day. It doesn't, But if I want to get them and go into a deep thing, then yeah. And for other people, for my clients, then I could see that could maybe be. I don't know. I've seen the tea leaves.
I don't know. I'd be interested in try to just gaze into one and see.
Yeah,
because I have a harder time. Like I was telling you, I have to like put something over my eyes, black it out, and even then, it's like I want to sit there and try to focus on something.
Right, you're focusing on what you're seeing with your eyes instead of what you're seeing with your third eye.
The purpose of that. The other is to actually focus and kind of gaze into it. Maybe that would work better.
Yeah. I mean, maybe one day I'll try it with something. I don't know, but I haven't yet. But it is a thing.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah, it is a tool. So, and seances are another thing that you hear about that word is like, I don't know, it's kind of a scary word, seance. But there's nothing really scary about it. It's actually like a medium circle, like what I've done. Exactly. Right. And that was something that they used to use Ouija boards for too, were seance.
Right.
So another one, this is one of my favorites. Voodoo dolls. Okay, let's talk for a minute about voodoo dolls because I have a good story on these. So first of all, you can't make a doll of somebody and poke it with a needle and expect that it's going to hurt them or something.
Right, it's like some sort of curse.
Right. But there's not just like those types of voodoo dolls that you can buy. There's also like ones that are supposed to bring you money and love and those types of things, right? So obviously before my mom passed, she asked a family friend that was going down to New Orleans to buy her a voodoo doll, a love doll, because she was lonely and she wanted to bring love into her life. And so he did. He went and he bought her this voodoo doll. And anyways, nothing came of it.
Right.
It's just a doll. It's not going to do anything for you. Right. But I wasn't in this spot then when my mom passed. I didn't know the things that I know now. And so I came across this voodoo doll and was like, oh crap. What am I supposed to do with this thing?
What voodoo you do?
Right, exactly. So I was like, okay, somebody please tell me how to get rid of this voodoo doll, right? And I was told some crazy things.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so instead of like trying to risk it and maybe get, some kind of spell on me or whatever, I held on to that voodoo doll for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. When we moved into this house, I brought it to California with me. When we moved into this house, I was like, this is a bunch of baloney. This is not coming to the new house. I'm throwing it away. Okay. I had people tell me I needed to burn it or that all kinds of things. Like, here, let me read a little bit of this to you. This is good.
No. More mythology.
How to dispose of your voodoo doll. Place the doll in a white cloth or bag made of linen or cotton. Sprinkle the doll with sea salt. Place it in a drawer or at the back of your wardrobe until a suitable time for disposal. This is just step 1. The prevailing opinion judges Saturday is the best day to dispose of a voodoo doll.
Oh, okay.
So if you ever need to
don't plan anything on your weekend that weekend.
It is generally agreed that you should take the doll to a place very far from your home. I find the Scottish Highlands keep a lot of secrets, so this must be in England or in Europe where they wrote this. But let's see.
Mail it to your worst enemy.
Right. Trust me, I thought about that one. Honestly. The best areas for disposals are in the woods near running water. Okay, it goes on and on and on and on. And you're supposed to walk away without looking back. And I was like, seriously, I threw that thing in the trash and it's gone. And I had no love curse. We're married. We're happily married. My life has continued on. There's been nothing that this voodoo doll has done to destroy or hurt my life.
Right.
It's just hoopla. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm
sitting here just rolling my eyes. I'm like, okay, whatever.
And same with curses. I mean, that's, one of the topics we mentioned in the header. Curses. If somebody tells you there is a curse on you, please don't believe them. If somebody tells you that they can put a curse on, somebody that you have an attraction to make that person love you, a love spell, whatever, it's not real. It can't be done. There is free will. Now, if you have somebody that's trying to bring you money and, you're, I don't want to say praying because that's a different term. You can pray for it, but you can manifest. Okay. Yeah. So there is a way that this kind of spell, quote unquote, could be considered manifestation because in manifestation, you're just kind of dreaming, daydreaming, thinking about what it is that you want to come to you. So it's kind of a spell, but it's not. It's just the way of the universe. Okay. Right. It's not, You
don't need a doll to do that.
No. And let me ask, this is a rhetorical question to our listeners. Why would you want to put a love spell on somebody? If somebody doesn't love you, why would you want to be with them?
Right.
You're not meant to be with that person, obviously. Stop putting love spells, quote unquote, on people and just wait until you find the right person that's going to love you the way they're supposed to.
Yes. Right.
It's not curses. This stuff is not real. It's not.
Like you said, a lot of it is manifestation.
It is.
What you put out there is what you get back.
Absolutely. And our minds can make a lot of things happen. Mm-hmm. A lot. Negative and positive.
Oh, yeah.
So these curses and spells and all of these things, they're not that.
Probably why the brain has so many cells, because it's meant to be used on such a higher level.
It is.
I think, than what we're really doing.
I totally agree with you on that.
On an overall humanity.
Yeah. And, a lot of these things, like I said, I know there's going to be people that are going to be like, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But here's the thing. I've been doing this medium work now for a year and a half. And I have not encountered a demon or a negative spirit. I have seen things that from spirits that have been through bad things in their life that they show me those things.
Right.
But I haven't had anybody hurt me, any spirit hurt me, anything, anything like that.
Paranormal at home going on.
Right. But there are paranormal things
I don't
happening.
mean like some, like, again, daggers flying across the room.
The lights flicker. My ex-mother-in-law, one of the best ways that she communicates with me is turning off the light in the freezer. Okay, it's an inside thing with us, so I knew that she was going to do that. I told her to. So it doesn't freak me out when it happens, but sometimes these
You told
things,
her to do that before she passed away.
Exactly, before she passed away. These things can freak us out when they happen. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When that light bulb went on me, it freaked me out for a minute.
Right.
But they weren't trying to hurt me. They were just trying to get my attention. And that's all they're trying to do with us. If you see lights flicker or, things like that, they're not going to hurt you. They're just trying to communicate with you. And it's not going to bring in negative spirits to talk to them. I'm proof of that. You're proof of that.
No ghost is going to put their hands around you and squeeze your neck and choke. No. They can't.
No.
They can't. A spirit can't do that.
No, they can't. And let me tell you, sometimes with psychic feelings, with the feelings part of it, you can have those feelings.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to a spirit that maybe did commit suicide through like hanging or something, I could feel my neck being tight. Doesn't mean I'm going to die.
I've had that.
Yeah.
With a friend of mine. That
did. So there are definitely ways like that they do communicate with us. But if you were to do some kind of poll or something about how many people have actually died from a Ouija board, or there is a direct connection to being hurt, probably the biggest way that somebody's been hurt is by a Ouija board falling on their head.
Right. Or it fell off the table in the corner, poked you in the toe.
Otherwise, it's just not even related. You know what I mean? Things happen. They happen every day. It's superstition. It's lucky number 13. Again,
it's superstition. It's
superstition.
Myths. It's stories passed down and down and down.
It's like the telephone game. It can spread like wildfire. But you know what else can spread like wildfire is the truth. Is every time that somebody tells you not to play with the Ouija board because you're going to bring bad spirits in, you go, that's from a movie.
Right.
Eventually, more people will know that that's the truth. That's how things change and how things spread. Until then,
and that's our truth.
What it is.
But the bottom line is, none of us know.
No, we don't.
Until it's lights out and we go to the other side.
This is very true.
If you want to debate it on a mortal plane, none of us can prove it.
Right.
I'm not saying I know it's true.
Right, I do too. There's no doubt in my mind. But
I'm just saying, can you argue it in a provable point at this point in time? No. But when lights out and everybody's gone, each one of us learn when we go.
Hey, and when you do, and if I'm still here, then come to me and say, "Oh, you were right about the Ouija boards." I like that.
I plan on it.
Yeah,
I plan on it. I'll be bugging you.
Come to me as a spirit and tell me I was right.
I will be bugging you.
Oh, I know you will. Be like, what are you going to do today? Oh, all day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, look. Here we are.
Yeah.
Another hour.
I could still ramble on about this topic forever, too. It's something I'm really passionate about because I love to spread what I feel the truths are. And, I mean, to me, they're fact. I know their opinion to other, but they are fact to me.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I didn't always, so I've been on both sides.
That's why I did the experiments that I did so that I could kind of prove that. Right. And you know what? There is that kind of feeling inside of superstition of, well, what if I do these experiments and I tell people this and then something bad does happen and they relate it? And that goes back to superstition.
Yeah.
But you know what? If something does happen, it's not because I played with the Ouija board by myself. It's not because I swore at it or maybe thought about setting it on fire. But
I just base everything off my experience so far. And I've sat in churches and other types of rooms and groups, and it absolutely makes sense.
It makes
sense. As I grow in this, I have these epiphanies, where I start to understand, and it's like that connection.
Yes,
and it gets stronger and stronger the more that I say, "Please."
Right. Oh yeah.
To the other side, please.
Absolutely.
Show me.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't want to know everything.
No.
But just show me. Am I on the right track?
Right.
Am I doing good? Tell me.
And that's what a lot of these tools can do.
They really, really can.
Yeah, you don't need. I mean, it's nice to
You
have a
don't
medium.
need it. And
I don't.
I'm glad because it would take a while.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the girl that did the book?
No.
Jeez.
I was thinking about that. How long it took her. Okay, I got to write down M.
Yeah.
A. Oh no, that's very. I can't. Yeah.
Right.
I was already frustrated enough trying to play with it by myself. So I'm like, just tell me the message.
I tried it. It didn't work for me. I do want to try it with you, but it didn't work.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. By the way, so our listeners know, I always have 2 Ouija boards sitting on my desk. So it's not like this is planchette. Right. I remembered the name of that thing at the very end of the show. That little thing that you move around the board is called a planchette.
We're not worshiping the devil. No. We're not sacrificing goats.
But you can see, too, that nothing is becoming of me having 2 Ouija boards on my desk. It's nothing bad's happening. I got my first one for Christmas and the other one like a month later, and they've been there ever since.
Right.
Yeah. So don't worry.
And it's not like you don't even use it that much. You don't need
Not
to.
at all. It's decoration.
It was a fun experiment,
right.
Especially for this episode. But
it was decoration. It really is. And yeah, for experiment like that. So, yeah.
All right. Well, now's the time of the show where you plug.
Plug. Okay. So if you would like to follow us on social media, we have accounts everywhere. We have a Facebook and an Instagram. Those are at Spiritual Joneses. And then we have a Twitter that is at Spiritual Jones. And we have a YouTube. You can listen on YouTube, which I know for a lot of people is very convenient. And so that's also Spiritual
I'm a fan
Joneses.
of YouTube.
Yeah, it's an easy way for people. And then, of course, we're on like Spotify and SoundCloud and iTunes and all that. We love your iTunes reviews. We love your Facebook reviews.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really thank you. It helps people find us and helps let us know that we're doing a good job.
Yeah, we're just trying to connect with people and interact and
spread truths and peace and love and happiness and all the wonderful things.
Absolutely.
That's all we're doing. And then if you would like to get a reading from me or talk to me about getting a reading, you can find me on the web at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com or on Facebook at Beyond the Bridge 11. And that is me.
Awesome.
And us.
Well, I do art, so if you like art, you can see me on the web at www.djonesartcollection.com. And I'm also on Facebook at djonesartcollection.com and Instagram, #djonesartcollection.com. So you can see my work. Store is coming soon on the web page, but right now it's just up, which is cool. I'm excited. Thank you, babe.
Of course.
My wife did that. Great job, Samantha.
Thank you.
And also play music. Gypsy Brown, working on a lot of stuff coming up real soon. And again, I shared that last week, but I'm not going to spill the beans yet, but I'm hoping probably within the next week or so I'll be able to share what is going down.
Yeah.
So we're excited. And that's all I got.
Yay.
Well, we really appreciate everybody sticking around and listening to us philosoph chatter.
We do. We love to do it.
It was really cool. I love this one.
Me
Thanks.
too.
It was a good idea, babe. Really cool.
Thank you. I liked it.
And hopefully we've helped anybody or answer some questions.
Bust some myths.
Yeah, exactly.
Karate chopped them.
Well, we hope you have a wonderful week.
Yes, we do.
Thanks again. And until next week,
peace and love.